Hey everybody, these are the tools and the materials for the Bushido board I'm making. It's a 2x2 board, and the lumber shop cut all the pieces of wood to the exact specifications that I gave them. So these are the pieces, 4 straight sections with a 90-degree angle, and one 2x2 piece of MDF. So the first thing that you will want to do is pour some PVA glue on the lumber sections, or on the first lumber section. Don't do as I did here, which is pour on too much PVA glue. It's messy. Then again, it's solvable by just removing the excess glue to one of the next pieces. Important to keep the sides clean, because PVA dries rock hard and it will be virtually impossible to sand down. In fact, you will probably sand away the wood first before you get rid of the PVA. So make sure to remove the excess PVA glue from the pieces of lumber. It's time to align the lumber with the board. I use the second piece just to give it some just to make it even horizontally, because otherwise you will always have an angle, which will make it more difficult. Align as best as possible. Then it's time to get the clamps and clamp the MDF board down to the lumber. This is to make the drilling and the alignment a bit easier, just to make sure that you have a nice straight line at the side. You will, when clamping down, you will see some excess some excess glue dripping over the side, so take a rag or a piece of paper or whatever and get rid of it immediately. For the reasons I told you earlier, the sides really have to be clean, so no drying lumps of PVA glue. When clamped down, get your electric drill with the right bit and start making the holes. I made 4 on each side, which is plenty. The screws are basically just there to keep it in place while the PVA glue dries, because PVA glue makes a much stronger bond than screws will. So they help, of course, but the PVA glue will do the most of the work. In this video I'm only going to show you one side, because the principle applies to all 4 sides, of course. And it's already 11 minutes long, and it's probably gonna take up 30 minutes, which is gonna take forever to upload. After drilling the 4 holes, you can use a widening bit, is how I think it's called, which has the function to make the screws sit deeper in the MDF, so that you don't have the sticking out heads of the screws. And then it's time to add the screws to the board. I made a small mistake here, in that you'll see it in just a few seconds. See how the MDF pops up a bit? I turned it on. Well, I screwed it in too tightly, because the power of the electric drill wasn't adjusted properly enough, and it gave a bit too much power. It's not really a problem. I just took another screw, a bit thicker, and I used that one. The slightly damaged side will be sanded down, and after painting you won't see it. So not really a problem. Again, after adding the screws to the board, wipe down the excess PVA glue. After screwing, you can remove the clamps. Wiping time, once again. And that's about it, really. This is one side. Just repeat this process 4 times and you have yourself a 2x2 board, which is just 1/4 of the typical wargaming board. So if you then repeat this process 4 times, you have yourself a modular gaming board. Let's get to the next subject, and that is to build up framework with extruded foam board, etc. Tools and materials used are shown here. So made some drawing first on the MDF. Started with marking the buildings, and then I drew on a road with a big curve to break up the squareness of the buildings and of the board. And then I started with the first piece, which is high density foam. I just used the curving of the road, made some stairs, but these are preliminary, probably will change in a later stage. The tip is where a large rock piece will come, which I'm showing you here. A huge rock. Get a Warhammer Fantasy Mini next to it, so you can see the scale. It's about 30 centimeters high, but doesn't have a large footprint, so it doesn't take up too much space, and it still looks pretty epic on the game board. Then it was time to do the next sections, which are the sides. First up, 5mm MDF. I mean foam core, to which I also drew the street section. And then where on the side where the building will come, I glued it or added another piece of 5mm foam board, so that you have the street sits a bit deeper than where the buildings will come. You have this nice lip. The sides. Back section. This is the highest one. It's a bit over an inch thick. I'm pointing out where I'm going to add the stairs, but you'll see in later videos that I changed that. And I made the stairs where the piece slopes. I left a gap to add some more rocks over there. Then an unfinished piece, which I placed at the corner, but that'll probably also change, just to give some more room for the minis. Then I decided to build up the rest of the road section with 5mm foam board. Got into corners, so I just placed these in the open gaps. The alignment, of course, isn't perfect of the pieces, because that's not necessary now, it's the planning stage. Then to break up the evenness of the road, I just decided to add some elevations or stairs, which are going to be carved from 3mm foam board, which you will be seeing in the next video. But before I added the stones, I built it up with pieces of foam board to give it some elevation over at the back corner over there, and in the front I didn't, because you already have some elevation between the low part and the higher road section. So let's take a closer look now. You can see the stair section, which will change drastically the drawing of the large building in the midsection. And this is the top view with the buildings in place. And that's it for this first part of the Bushido game board video. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please ask, and I'll see you soon for part 2, which contains the detailing. Bye.